Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that feels incredibly simple, maybe even something you've heard about 100 times, but, well, based on the source you've shared with us, it seems to hold this surprising depth, real transformative power. Our source material for this one, it's drawn from a reflective piece. Feels almost like a, personal journal entry, or maybe a transcript of someone just quietly thinking things through.
Yeah.
And it gently, but, well, pretty powerfully encourages us to just slow down, to really see the life we're actually living right now.
And our mission here for this deep dive is really to unpack this idea of gratitude, but we're not just talking about like a polite thank you or, a fleeting good mood. The source presents it as something much more fundamental, a shift in how you orient yourself, really. We want to understand how focusing intentionally on what you already have, what's already present, instead of getting tangled up in what feels missing, how that can fundamentally change your whole experience, life, learning, everything.
Exactly. It's not about finding something new necessarily. It's more about training yourself, maybe.
Yeah.
Seeing your own life, the one you're in, right here, right now.
Hmm.
Just seeing it through a different lens. Okay, so let's start unpacking this. The source kicks off with this scene, and it feels incredibly relatable, doesn't it? You're busy, maybe feeling overwhelmed. Your mind's just racing through the to-do list, the worries, focus completely on the grind. And then there's this tiny, almost insignificant moment described like seeing a child just completely lost in joy, laughing in a park. What does the source suggest that kind of simple interruption actually does to us?
Well, what's fascinating there, the way the source describes it, is its power as a power, like a pattern interrupt. That's the key. It's like this tiny anchor just dropped right into the present moment, stops the forward rush of the busy brain, and just for a second, it pulls you out of that constant narrative of needing something or doing something. It opens up a little space. And in that space, suddenly other simple things might get noticed, the warmth of the sun, maybe the sound of the wind, a particular smell. It's still the same ordinary day, but the experience of it shifts. And that prompts this feeling, well, thankfulness, really, even before you put a label on it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And that connects directly to a core challenge the source points out, doesn't it? How we're almost always oriented towards the future.
Yeah.
The next goal, the next achievement, the next thing we think we need to acquire to feel, I don't know, complete and successful. How does the source frame the danger of that constant future focus, especially when it comes to feeling okay, feeling content right now?
It makes a really powerful case, I think, that our modern default setting is, well, it's lack. We're kind of trained to see what's missing. And the source explicitly links this feeling of not enough directly to comparison. It states pretty clearly you just cannot appreciate your own journey, your own current reality. Not genuinely, anyway. If you're perpetually measuring it against somebody else's curated highlights, their perceived best bits.
Yeah. Comparison is the thief of joy, they say. And this source really, really leans into that. And it's not just about material stuff, is it? Though, that's a big part of it in our culture, obviously. It's also those internal comparisons, that feeling that you should be smarter or more disciplined or, further along in your career, happier in relationships. That internal should. It becomes this incredibly heavy thing, constant shining a spotlight on what you think is wrong with you or missing.
Exactly. And when your whole internal landscape is just dominated by comparing what you are or have right now, comparing it to what you think you should be or what they seem to have, it becomes, well, psychologically impossible, really, to simultaneously feel genuine appreciation for where you actually are. The source suggests happiness, or maybe contentedness is a better word, or peace. It doesn't just arrive when everything is finally perfect or when you've closed every single gap identified by comparison. It suggests it begins the moment you consciously shift your internal spotlight. Shift it onto what is actually here.
Okay, that's where it starts getting really interesting, I think. The source puts forward this almost counterintuitive question. It asks, what if you already possess something that someone else out there actively, desperately dreaming of right now? Like, what if your ordinary, maybe flawed, imperfect life? What if, looked at from a slightly different angle, it's actually someone else's miracle?
And that leads into this really deeply moving idea presented in the source text, which is the possibility. Just consider the possibility that you are currently living in the answered prayers of a past version of yourself. Just think back, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ago. What were you really struggling with then? What were you wishing for? Maybe it was a stable job, or just a safe place to live, maybe healing from something difficult, learning a particular skill.
And it's so true. So often we actually reach those milestones. We achieve those past dreams. And what do? We immediately update the wish list. There's no pause. There's no acknowledgement, really. We just shift focus straight onto the next thing that feels like it's missing. It's like we're constantly moving the goalposts on our own happiness,
Yeah.
our own sense of worth, even.
Right. And the source implies that if we don't intentionally, consciously stop and truly recognize how far we've actually come, the challenges we've navigated, the lessons learned, maybe just the quiet victories we managed, if we don't see those, we completely miss the richness of where we are right now. Your present life isn't just some stepping stone to the next thing. It is the realization of hopes you once held so tightly.
So, okay, just to clarify, this isn't about just settling, is it? Or giving up on goals. The source seems quite clear on that. You can absolutely still strive, still work towards the future, still want things to be different or better, but it draws this really vital distinction. You don't have to feel empty or insufficient while you're on that path. That's the key, isn't it? You can be genuinely full of appreciation for your present reality, and still move forward with hope and intention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Seeing the present moment, this current version of your life, as inherently valuable in itself, not just valuable if it leads somewhere else, that changes everything. Gratitude, in this sense the source describes, it doesn't necessarily change the external facts of your life. What it changes is your internal experience of those facts. It changes where your attention naturally goes.
And the source offers a surprisingly simple way to start cultivating this shift.
Yeah.
Like a really practical practice. It could be as simple as just pausing for a single breath and identifying just one thing you're thankful for, or maybe, writing down just 3 small things each day. Really small things.
Yes, and this deliberate act, the source suggests, it's like training a muscle. It really is.
Right.
The more you consciously, intentionally look for things to appreciate, maybe the taste of your coffee or a comfortable chair you're sitting in, a brief moment of quiet, even just the fact that you can hear birds outside. The more you do that, the more your brain actually starts noticing those things automatically without effort. And it helps quiet down that constant background noise of comparison and lack. And over time, that quiet strength the source mentions, it really does begin to fill you up.
So peace, then. The source seems to be saying peace isn't some grand prize waiting at the end of a long, hard struggle. It's often hidden right here, in plain sight, just woven into the fabric of all those small, ordinary moments we tend to rush past every single day.
The perspective offered is pretty direct. Peace begins the moment you make the choice to be thankful. It's right there. It's in acknowledging the warm tea in your cup, or the simple shelter you have, the ability to connect with someone you care about, or even just appreciating the quiet miracle of your own breath happening in this very moment.
A thankful heart, then, according to the source, it's a quiet form of strength, but a really potent one. You don't need to be loud to be strong, right? Or perfect to feel whole, or have everything you think you want to recognize the richness that's actually already surrounding you. It's about returning again and again to the present and just acknowledging the inherent value of what is. So, okay, wrapping this up. Throughout this deep dive, we've really explored how shifting your focus, shifting from what feels missing towards what's actually vibrantly present, moving away from that trap of constant comparison towards a genuine appreciation for your own unique path, how that can reveal this incredible richness that's already woven into the tapestry of your life. It's really about finding the beauty in those ordinary moments, isn't it? And honestly recognizing just how much growth, how much survival even, you've already accomplished to get here.
Absolutely. And remember that simple but really profound invitation from the source text. Just take a breath. Maybe even right now as you're listening. Take a breath and bring just one single thing to mind that you feel genuinely thankful for. And just let that feeling land. Let it settle within you for a moment. This quiet strength, this kind of internal grounding, it's accessible anytime you choose to connect with it.
Yeah. It really circles back to that core insight, doesn't it? It's not fundamentally about needing a completely different life or achieving some distant future state before you can find peace or contentment. It's about seeing the life you are currently living right now in a fundamentally new and appreciative way. Peace. It's often overlooked, but it's right there, hidden in the small everyday realities.
And well, here's a final thought to maybe mull over. Based on everything the source suggests, if peace really does begin the moment you decide to be thankful, and if it's true that you already possess so much that a past version of yourself only dared to dream of, then consider this. What incredible power, what truly profound internal freedom do you actually gain simply by fully acknowledging the enoughness of this very moment? Right now, completely independent of any future achievement or external validation you might still be chasing.